Hi, I'm Picasso with the Eagle Riders MC, and I'm here today with...
I'm Hollywood with Black Patch MC.
And we're here with Biker Protocol. We're doing a very special remote broadcast today, so we're outside the studio, and we have a very special guest, and that is our good friend Karen Pope, with her business is called Bitchin Stitchin here in Las Vegas. I love saying that. Karen is, I don't want to call her a seamstress. She's really a specialist involved with sewing patches on vests. And, all us bikers, we all have our cuts and we all have our different, patches for a variety of different reasons. With MC people, it tends to be a little bit more uniform. It tends to be more simplistic, where we will generally have like a back patch and rockers and maybe a front patch, maybe some memorial patches, a name patch, things like that. And everybody has their own format. And then you have a lot of like Rider Club people where they tend to have, a lot more patches. Could be places they've been to, all kinds of funny sayings. If you've ever been to a biker rally, you'll see the people that sell patches and they have a bazillion of them.
Staple to rally.
Yeah, right. So for whatever reason that you have for having patches on your vest, there is a specialty to sewing these things on. And so today we have a very special guest, and that's Karen Pope. Say hi, Karen.
Hello.
And so Karen is a specialist, and we met her some time ago, years ago, at a leather store here in town. And I'll let you kind of tell your story. So
Yeah, I started working there back in 2008 and started sewing. I learned how to do patches, and then a gentleman came in and didn't want his pockets sewn up. So I self-taught myself how to open up the vest, sew the pockets on, sew it back on, replace the snaps, replace zippers, and I also learned how to reline the inside of the vest.
All of these are kind of important things, right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and I know you do a lot of specialty stuff. In addition to that, even, I kind of joke, mine's wearing out, by the way. You sewed like a lining onto mine.
Yeah, custom lining.
Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff like that. But a lot of it's mostly patches though, right?
Right, I add pockets. Mostly it is patches.
I know a lot of times what you do, and this is why this gets into kind of a specialty, is that I know a lot of times, like for example, we've had guys come in from my club that have a vest maybe that isn't consistent with, what I might be wearing. And so you've got to put patches on in places that maybe there's a pocket or maybe I know you've like cut open vests and redone them. Is that right? I mean, like.
Correct.
So,
yeah.
So I kind of want to go back actually.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
Yeah.
Like, why did you choose to do this?
Well, the lady that was sewing at the establishment I was working at quit, so then I picked it up, and then in 2016 I decided just to go on my own and start my own little business. So that's when I purchased this wonderful industrial sewing machine, which goes through leather like butter, not like your home machines that will not pull the leather through correctly, and it makes it a lot more difficult with those. But this machine can go through layers and layers of fabric with no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's what you want with your home machine, with your industrial machine sewing on leather.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of happenstance. It was just like a position open. You're like, I'll give it a shot, and that's kind of how you got
I
it.
was managing that store, and that position kind of came falling down on me. And then I self-taught myself how to do everything. Placement of the patches is very important. We do have our Bible that has all the schematics of the clubs that we do put patches on for, because they want it specific, 3 inches from the collar, 2 inches from the center patch, and everything has to be placed accordingly. This
is really why it's so important. So, we're fortunate we have you here in Las Vegas, but, in other cities, it's important for clubs to consider. Some clubs sew their own patches, right? And they make that choice. They usually have somebody that does it, but
not too many. But I've heard that they have.
But some clubs do. But it's always important to find somebody who is a specialist in specifically sewing like this because of the equipment that's needed. Like, how much does a sewing machine like this cost?
Today, for the sewing machine, the servo motor, not this table, but your standard sewing table, is about $2,000.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this is like a serious investment.
This is like $1,600 right here for the Consew walking foot machine.
Wow. And does this require any kind of special maintenance or anything?
Yes. I clean it once a month. I re-oil it. I get it serviced once every 2 years, or
Like,
they go inside
sounds
and
like owning a
change
motorcycle.
everything.
Yeah. Does it leak
definitely.
oil?
Yes, leak oil, right?
Sometimes it does if you over oil it, and it does have a reverse, so it's like a trike.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Or
So,
Goldwing, right? Yeah.
quick random fact: do you have an idea of how much fabric yards you go through in say like a month or a week? Just random.
As far as
Curious.
sewing on patches
Yeah,
in a week,
anything like
it varies so
or-
much depending on what's being done. People
Yeah.
getting patched in, people getting their center patch sewn on, new members, whatever. So that really varies. I probably spend maybe 30 hours a week,
Oh wow!
but
Okay.
even that is,
It's a full-time job then for sure.
it can be. It breaks up
Yeah.
your day because
Yeah.
I do appointment only. Nobody comes over here without an appointment. This way I don't have A and B that doesn't get along come at the same time.
Well, and I wanted to bring up the journal that you had, because that's particularly important to everybody that I know of is, when we have a prospect come in, right? And so, we have some prospect patches we sewn in, and then if they become a full patch member, the nice thing about knowing somebody like yourself, and everybody should seek out somebody like you wherever they live, wherever city they're in,
Right.
is the advantage to that is, I can tell my prospect, or I can tell our new member, I can say, just go to Karen, and you have a sister across town that does the
Correct.
exact same thing, which is amazing. But we can just tell them, go to one of them, and they've got our layout. They know exactly where everything goes. There's no stress. There's no getting a phone call. Hey, where is this supposed to go? You guys know exactly where everything goes, and it's a really stress-free thing. And I can't stress that enough.
Right.
How big of a
And
deal
a lot
that
of
is.
clubs do appreciate that.
Yeah.
We've had, my sister had a gentleman that wanted to copy our Bible, so to speak.
Oh, really?
And because he wanted to recognize the clubs, and she told him, well, go to their events and
Yeah.
take your own pictures.
Right.
Are you a
We
cop?
get silly questions like, do you
Wow.
sew patches on for so-and-so? Standard answer is, do I sew yours on?
Yeah.
How many members so-and-so? I don't know how many yours have. We are not a biker encyclopedia here. We don't know anything outside of this room.
Because
Right.
a lot of, all these clubs are putting trust in you to hold their schematics and everything, and that could be used
Everything.
for bad
Yeah.
things with
Oh, for sure.
other clubs. The
It's nobody's business. If they
Yeah.
want to find something out, go to the club and ask them.
yeah.
Well, and you're kind of like a priest in that respect, where you keep these secrets, and it's nice that you do. Have you ever been approached by a club? I mean, you're kind of considered neutral ground because you sew for everybody, right? I mean,
Correct.
1% clubs, for RCs, for MCs, for completely
Vegas Golden
unaffiliated,
Night
right?
Women's Group.
Right. Yeah. So, so explain that, because you
Yeah.
sew for other things too, right? I mean,
Correct.
I know you've sewn things from or for sports jerseys and patches on all kinds of things, but you mostly specialize in biker wear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because of that, you have to kind of keep a neutral ground, right? I mean, isn't that kind of how
Absolutely.
that works, right?
100%.
So yeah. Have you ever been asked by one club to not sew patches for another one? Has that ever come up, or?
Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I sew yours on?
Right. Exactly. No, that's true, right? Yeah.
You know.
So okay. Yeah.
So, when they ask about other clubs, I don't know. Nobody that comes in here talks club business.
yeah.
That's taboo for them.
Well, of course, right.
That's true. Yeah.
So the only time I hear about what's going on outside of here is on the news or Facebook,
Sure.
but other than that, it's, pretty quiet, and we talk about dogs, gardens,
Yeah.
family, kids,
Yeah.
Sure.
all just your
While you're sewing on a
normal-
patch for back
Yeah.
patch for a 1% club, yeah.
all the
sure.
boring conversations that don't really mean anything, but
How-
it's something to break the.
You're pretty much. I would say you're like the person that's. I don't know anybody else that sews patches on for clubs in the town.
No, I don't
Is
either.
you probably do. How many clubs?
I don't know.
There you go. Got it.
Good answer.
Right.
I've been doing this for 15
Yeah.
years, so I repair zippers, snaps, eyelets. I open up the vest and put your eyelets in so you can have lace
I
up
need
sides.
zippers.
Yeah.
I do alterations on leather. My sister does alterations on fabric. She does everything I do, but she deals with a lot of fabrics.
Well,
I
and this is
don't
kind of
play with fabric.
Well, and this is kind of an important thing because a lot of people don't think this through. Is you patch into a club and you might be wearing the same vest for over a decade, right? And
Correct.
because there's very little reason to have to change out to another vest unless you're gaining a lot of weight or losing a lot of weight or something, right? Or it could be any other reason, accident or something. But you might be keeping this vest. I've had this for over 10 years, so. because of that, things wear out. Snaps wear out. I've learned to call them snaps, not buttons. I know you yell at me for that. But the snaps wear out, right? The zippers wear out. Things wear out. So you guys are not just sewing patches. A lot of times you're doing like alterations on these things, right?
Alterations, repairs, absolutely.
Yeah.
We do it all.
Yeah. So you have to be good at this stuff.
15 years experience. My sister has 6 years. I brought her in about 6 years ago.
And then so I think you kind of touched on in the beginning the seamstress title. Is there like your sister does? I think I use the word alteration. Is there a difference? Like what?
It all goes under the same umbrella.
So seamstress kind of covers it all.
Alterations, hemming pants and all of that.
Okay.
Anything that has to do with seamstress pretty much covers it. With myself, I'm a seamstress with leather.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that has to do with leather, alterating the leather, snaps, zippers, whatever. That's what I specialize in. I don't play with fabric.
Okay. All right.
Gotcha.
It scares me.
Leather doesn't. Huh?
But this is such a specialty, and it's like one of these things I can't stress enough how important it is to find somebody like you that not only people can trust, but also know that to get it done right. And so another thing too is that. Like I've been to a lot of biker rallies and stuff where they sell patches, and the people that often do, they'll have somebody in there with a sewing machine, and I've seen a lot of really bad, applications of patches, right?
Well, they're in a hurry. It's like, they want to turn and burn.
Sure.
I use adhesive tape.
Yeah.
It keeps the patch in place, so when I sew it, it doesn't move
Doesn't
around.
move, yeah.
I make sure, that it's centered, and not off to one side. The patches are straight.
Well, and it's a lot like, and you don't think about this stuff because a lot of times people don't really know to think about it. That's why we do videos like this. But like, for example, the guy that makes our patches, we don't have our patches made here. We have them made in Arizona. The guy that makes them does it for a lot of clubs, but he is, when I say he's a perfectionist, that is a gross understatement. I mean, nothing goes out until it's 100% perfect. And because of that, our patches never wear out. And we had a patch done once for us by somebody else. It was like a memorial patch or something. And like there was, it's called a Pharaoh, I think. I might be calling them, but it's basically a border around the patch.
Right.
And fell apart like in a couple of weeks. It's because he didn't have a specific type of system for this. And you can tell bad quality from good.
Well,
and that's why it's so important.
because on your patches you have a plastic coating on the back, and that protects all of the embroidery thread to stay in place. So if you don't have that, yes, you're going to run into problems. Also, clubs have a tendency to switch out their patches for a new cut. Yeah. Which will fray your border on your patches.
For sure,
And it'll start looking raggedy. What I suggest is, and some clubs can do it and some can't, is actually sew the patch on the leather, cut the leather about 1/4 of an inch out, and then you sew the leather onto the vest.
Oh, that's clever. Okay.
And this way, when you do switch out your patches or whatever, get center punched.
Yeah, right.
You just cut it out, and the patch is on the leather, so it does save the border.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I've seen people cut their patches off, and they slice their patch in half, or cut a big bulk, or
What's like the weirdest repair you've ever had to do on something like that?
Well, one gentleman came in and he had to take off his center patch, and he slit his vest. And there was a chunk of leather missing, and he asked if I can fix it.
Ooh.
And I said, sure, where's this piece? And he said it was out like 100 miles from here. But you can, yes, it's fixable. I did cut a piece of leather to fix, to fit the little hole that was missing, and And I also did a Harley Davidson jacket where the gentleman was in an accident, so the sleeves are cut all the way up across. And I actually fixed all of that it took a long time, but with leather glue, leather, and patience, I got that fixed for him.
Well, so would you say that's kind of one of the harder ones?
That was a difficult job. And what's even more difficult is after somebody passes and they bring me their cut to sew the shoulders back on.
Yeah.
That's
a little sad. I had, there was, before I was in a club, I was in an accident, and I remember when they took me to the hospital, they're like, yeah, we're going to have to cut. And I wasn't patched in with anybody, but they were like, well, we're going to have to take your vest off. I'm like, no. And they had to cut it off,
Right.
And, so that was like kind of heartbreaking. And it's like, if I had to go through that now, it's like, man, I don't know what I would do, So it's got to save that cut for anything.
And that goes to say something about cuts. One of our members had gotten in an accident a couple years ago, and I remember the EMTs or the firemen, whoever showed up there, they know, and they actually were able to like take the cut off.
Oh, no kidding.
You know, he wasn't seriously
Correct.
hurt, but you know, they knew to preserve it, not just.
That's
cut
good.
it off.
Yeah, they usually now they cut it really close to the shoulder seam, which
So
is
you could
we can
repair it.
repair
Oh,
that
wow.
absolutely.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice to know.
I mean, you have
that's-
to the thing in the motorcycle biker world is you guys work hard to get your patches. You work hard to become a prospect. You work harder to get patched in. And if my sister and I don't take pride like you do getting patched in with your patches, then we should not be in this business. Because we have to have as much pride putting on your patches correctly and making it look good. So you guys feel good about it. And you come walking in here at 5 feet tall, you walk out 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
That's cool.
You know?
I like that.
I think that kind of sums it all up. So.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for spending
You're
some time
welcome.
with us today.
Thank you.
And yeah, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. You do that right down below us. And if you have any questions about patches, about sewing or anything, please leave that in the comments too. We love getting comments and we love answering them. We do more videos coming up where we answer questions from our viewers. So thank you for watching. Anything else you want to add? We didn't do our shot today. Yeah, we'll do a virtual. We forgot to
We're
shot.
out on location.
I
But
know.
I was going to say, I mean, if it's okay with you, put your info down in the description to
Yeah.
anyone in
And
Vegas
I'm
wants to
licensed.
reach out. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
we'll
am
definitely will
licensed.
do that. So be sure to look up Bitchin Stitchin. We'll put the information in the description down below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.